After rolling through the United States, KK's Priest announced their first European headline tour, and I feel we kinda have to talk about it. So, let's discuss the rather interesting choice of support acts KK will be taking on the road with him, the show's dates and how they coincide with another band, and then talk about that one question which so many metal fans ask. Here you go. So yes, although KK Downing's new band did go around Europe last year, the first proper KK's Priest headline European tour will kick off on May 11th with the show at Durbuy Rock Festival in Belgium and will continue through the entire summer, with a rather interesting break in June, which we'll discuss in a moment, ending with a Homebase concert at the Stonedead Festival in the United Kingdom on Ukraine's Independence Day, August 24th. And commenting the announcement, the legendary guitarist said the following: "We are really pumped up and raring to go back to Europe this summer, when we play some of our favorite cities and countries. Also, the festival season is upon us, and we can't wait to play Wacken, Rock Hard, Pheasant, Stonedead and other great festivals. And if you don't see your city now, don't worry, as we will soon announce more European shows for later in the year. The band and I are ready to go, and we will bring you the KK's Priest Metal Thunder. Don't miss it." Whoa, this does sound promising, but let's dive deeper into it. Unlike the North American run KK's Priest have just ended and the previous European tour, this time around they will not be taking one or two bands all along the way, but rather will have 4 different acts supporting KK's Priest depending on the city they play in. Those being Burning Witches, Xandria, Dieth and Tail Gunner. And the choice of some of them is actually pretty interesting. Now, talking about Burning Witches, I believe that most fans of classic heavy metal, at least the ones from Europe, are very much familiar with them. Well, I guess the ones in the United States by now should be as well, as they literally just ended the tour together with KK's Priest there. And in all honesty, and I'm not saying this just because some of the girls from the band are actually my friends, but I truly believe that Burning Witches are in fact one of the best new modern heavy metal acts who are both able to capture the essence of the sound of the 80s heavy metal without simply copying the best, but instead bringing something modern and something unique of their own to that classic heavy metal sound. On 2 shows in Germany, KK's Priest will be supported by Xandria, which, despite being a great band, is a rather strange choice for KK, who usually loves this old school sound, which is why I guess on the shows after that, Dave Ellefson's new band Dieth will open for them. Now, overall, talking about Dieth opening for KK's Priest, many fans of course picked up the similarity between the two bands, as both of those were indeed formed by the founding members of another legendary act. But just as always, when it comes to the KK Downing Judas Priest dilemma, we are here not to judge. Although, in all honesty, I believe that the fans' comparison of the two bands is pretty understandable, at least for an outsider. But given the fact that Dieth is a death metal band, I kind of wonder why it is this act that KK decided to take on the road with him, as the Kings of Thrash would actually fit perfectly into the whole old school metal aesthetics. But most likely, I'm just overthinking it way too much. And the last but not least on the list of the supporting acts for this upcoming tour is the British new wave of traditional heavy metal band Tail Gunner, whose name once again should not be a new one for all KK Downing and actually Judas Priest fans as well.
Tail Gunner,
And here I just have to confess, I am a huge fan of Tail Gunner. No, seriously, these young boys with their old school aesthetics, who are not in any way trying to reinvent the wheel, but at the same time are being so natural with this old school new wave of British heavy metal sound and the looks, are definitely a band to look out for if you are a fan of that kind of music.
We're the children of the night, the ones on the street, and we'll still be here till the dead on their feet.
By the way, guys, would you like me to release any special episodes about such bands as Tail Gunner or Burning Witches, and overall talk more about younger bands we all might like? Please let us know in the comments. But alright, let's continue. KK's Priest setlist on the US tour looked somewhat like a parallel universe Judas Priest concert in which the last two albums were just released under a different name, as KK fully embraced his legacy by playing live on average 8 out of 14 tracks written for his previous band, and 6 songs from the KK's Priest's 2-album repertoire, those being Hellfire Thunderbolt, One More Shot at Glory, Reap the Whirlwind, Brothers of the Road, Strike of the Viper, and Raise Your Fists. And when it comes to those Judas Priest, I guess, covers, most of them were what we all may consider to be some of the greatest hits the band has written in the early days, including The Ripper, Breaking the Law, and Victim of Changes. And only one track from the Tim Ripper Owens era has been performed live regularly so far. Here's the thing, and I know that I might be in a minority here, and just a little disclaimer for those who are new to the channel, I am a huge Judas Priest fan, and of course I love every of the songs KK Downing has played together with his new band on this tour. But the truth is that when it comes to KK's Priest, I would actually absolutely love it if the band would play the majority of their own songs, as it is actually the only chance for us to hear the tracks from The Sermons of the Sinner and The Sinner Rides Again live. And so far, not that many tracks from each of those records have actually been performed live by the band. So yes, especially after seeing how the fans on the concerts seem to respond to KK's Priest's own material, I believe it would be great if the scales will tilt the other way, and the band would perform the vast majority of their own songs, add into the mix a couple of Judas Priest songs to underline KK Downing's and Tim Ripper Owens' legacy in one of the greatest heavy metal bands on the planet. And even more, and you may disagree with me, but even when it comes to the Judas Priest songs, I think it would be absolutely kick-ass if the boys would perform the songs from the Tim Ripper Owens era, and we finally would get to enjoy all of those songs which were specifically written for Tim's voice live. And I think you all know which one in particular I am mostly thinking about. And now, talking about Judas Priest and KK's Priest, and even more, comparing the two, which so many people simply love doing, I honestly never ever understood why would any longtime Priest fan like to do that. I know I said that before, but I still kind of feel like a grown-up kid of two divorced parents who, of course, cherishes the memories of his childhood, but would never in a million years would want his parents to get back and be miserable together just for him to be happy. And maybe that's why I'd like to hear more of KK's Priest's originals at their shows, because I love them, just like I love hearing the songs from the albums Judas Priest released after KK's departure. And it is absolutely okay. Even more, it is incredible that we now have two amazing heavy metal bands to love. And if we take a look at KK's Priest's European tour this year and compare it to the Judas Priest European summer run, we'll see that the bands will actually be performing in pretty much exactly the same countries and places, just a couple of weeks apart, which once again proves that the Priest fans can in fact appreciate both of the bands. And even more, if we take a closer look, we will see that both Judas Priest and KK's Priest will actually perform on the same festival titled Masters of Rock in Czech Republic in July, although now we actually know that they will be doing that on 2 different dates, thus finally ending all of those online speculations that the two bands might actually perform together on stage. Oh, and by the way, another thing, despite a very busy schedule KK's Priest will have in May, July, and August, so far there is only one date announced in June, which I guess means that there will be at least a couple of more shows around Europe added around that time. But either way, have you already seen KK's Priest live, or are you planning to see the band on this tour? Please let us know in the comments. Oh, and by the way, a little birdie told me that if you are from the United States and you missed out on their first tour this year, there might still be a chance for you to catch this band live very, very soon. But either way, thank you so much for watching the short video, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!